have that clicker? I might need this.
That would probably help a little bit.
Thanks. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm so excited. I actually get to tell you guys a really funny story, especially since Madison isn't here. Ari is here, but I'm going to tell it anyway. Has anybody in the room, by show of hands, ever sent a text message to the wrong person? Okay. You know that awkward moment when you're like, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, make it stop, make it stop. You try to pull it back, try to figure out, can you delete it really fast and maybe they didn't see it? But now with iPhones, that's like not a thing. So I met with Ari and Madison last year, just after I'd gotten married. And I was so pumped because I love to see people who are passionate about what's happening in Birmingham, especially in a creative arena. And the reason they wanted to meet with me is because they thought, oh, she's in media, maybe she'll know some really cool people who can speak. And of course, I was honored, and I was like, oh, I got a list. What are the themes? And they said, here are the themes. And I thought, those are weird. Those are really weird themes. And I said that. I didn't hide that they were weird, right? Did I? Ari, did I? I think I was pretty overt. I was like, yep, those are weird. And then I left and I said, hey, can you guys text me the themes? And they did. And I proceeded to text a friend. I had said, hey, you should speak. And this is what that looked like. They have some weird-ass themes mandated by the organization from a global standpoint. The first is surreal. To them. Not Grant. My bad. And there, I was like, oh, that was Grant. Sorry. And as a punishment, today I'll be speaking on preserve, which I'm pretty sure is something my grandma made from fruit. So I'm gonna do my best to try and pull this all together for you guys. But as by show of hands, who had heard of Good Grit before they saw my name pop up on this? Oh, that makes me feel so good. There was a time when I would say Good Grit and people would be like, Good Grip? And I'm like, what is that? That sounds like an R-rated magazine. No. That's not gonna be good, guys. So it makes me feel so happy to hear people who have actually heard of us. Good Grit, overcomers with damn good stories. That's our goal. It's an adjective. It's not just a brand. It's not a name. It's not a noun. We like to think of it as a descriptor. I was recently in a meeting and someone said, is there really such a thing as bad grit? And I was like, yeah. I'm sorry, let me explain that person to you with bad grit. My dog's sick, and I've been feeling really bad lately, and I think I'm gonna lose my job, and this thing happened to me when I was 10, and it's just really held me back. That's bad grit. Good grit's like, I've been through some stuff, but it's making me stronger, right? So yes, there's a difference. Has anybody, I met a couple of people before who had kind of heard our journey. Has anybody in the room never heard the Good Grit journey, how we got here? Okay, cool. Awesome. So it'll be like 20 people that are not bored. Great. So in 2014, I had a little office in Mountain Brook, Alabama, and I based that on demographics solely because Mountain Brook is fancy. There must be fancy people there who would spend money with me. Great. I had just come out of my marketing and sales career, had left on as an international sales and marketing manager. And I was like, well, this is the time when you start your own business, and because I know everything, I'll be a consultant. Because when you're a consultant, you can say you do anything, and then you can Google that shit and figure it out. Which happened all the time. Somebody would be like, do y'all do SEO? And I'd be like, yeah. Google SEO, hire a person that does SEO immediately. Which is funny because Caleb's in the back, Caleb said earlier, yeah, I had to fly all the way to London or France once because this guy didn't do computers. And my staff knows I don't really do computers, which is why we have a print publication in 2019. Anyway, So the story goes that I started this sales and marketing company, and it was awesome. I did a ton of consulting for my previous industry because that was easy. And people knew me and they trusted me. And then I would pick up those people randomly in Mountain Brook who would say things like, "Do you do SEO?" And I'd say, "Sure." And I would go hire somebody to do SEO. And then one day I got a New York Times in the mail that I stole from the previous tenant, and I read it. And there was an article about the food movement that was happening in Birmingham. And I am a Savannah native, and I love Savannah. But moving to Birmingham, I got to see something I'd never seen before. And that was to be a part of the revitalization, to see a city kind of coming back to life. And I know it happened before I got here. I arrived in Birmingham, I think 6.5 years ago, but it was really catching fire in 2014. And they were talking about the food movement, and I thought, why in the heck are people in New York doing a better job telling this story than we are? I didn't feel like there was really an authentic storytelling brand, but especially in the arena of print. So what any sane human does is they're like, "I'm gonna start a magazine." No. So what I'm admitting to you right now is that I'm actually certifiably crazy. And if you don't believe me, then you can ask anybody that knows me and they'll be like, "Yep, that's her." So I started this magazine by doing, how many people are entrepreneurs in the room? All right. How many people have had to ask somebody for money to invest in your company? Super hard. And how many people think it's easy? No, it's not. It sucks real bad. So I built a business plan. And even though I didn't know anything about magazines, I knew a guy who owned a magazine in my hometown. And I basically went and did a free internship with him to figure out, like, how does this work? Can I make it work? And I consulted for his sales team, built a sales team. And in exchange for that, he would share his P&L and help me understand print relationships, distribution, circulation, how we're gonna make money, how we're gonna sell things. And at the end of it, I kind of walked away going, I think I know what I don't wanna be, and I think I know a little bit about what we do wanna be. So I hired a team. Well, I didn't hire a team. I built a business plan. And I had a friend who said, "I think I know a guy in the magazine business." And I was like, "Awesome, set up a meeting." So she sets up a meeting, and I'm like, wait, how do you know this guy? She's like, "I bartended at his Christmas party." And I was like, okay, all right, just keep pitching. That's what I say. So we go. I had sent probably 4 business plans. It's really expensive to put a business plan together and then have it like printed and put in and obviously, I don't know if y'all know this, but I'm kind of a paper whore. If you've seen the magazine, you know that about me. I like good paper. So it costs $100 every time I had to make one of these things. This guy was like, "Send me another one, send me another one." I'm like, what is he doing, eating these? Like, no. So finally, the day of the meeting comes. It's October 2014. And I show up to the Garage Cafe where all great meetings take place. And in the back, I walk out, and there's a guy who's 70 years old, smoking cigarettes, drinking martinis like it's his job. And before I sit down, he's like, "Laura, I'd like to start this meeting by saying I do not invest in anything but myself, but I especially do not invest in magazines or restaurants." And I was like, this is going great. Like, I feel really good about this. Why did he take this meeting? 2 months later, he wrote me my first check. That was Elton B. Stevens Jr. So, thanks. It was really hard. I appreciate that. Elton was a great partner, and to this day still would say, I just believe Laura's crazy enough to do anything. He has since exited the company. I just bought it out 2 months ago. Also, you can applause for that, because buying out someone I can like, woo! Yeah. So here we are. Let's fast forward. So 5 years later, conceptually, I birthed this brand in June of 2014, the vision of it. 2015, July, we went to print with our very first issue. And then here we are. We have 300,000 readers. We're in 2,500 retailers in 42 states. We have subscribers in 48 states. And it's said to be calculated that we've sat on 600,000 coffee tables, which is the most sought after real estate when you're in the magazine industry that there is. So it's been a really fun journey. Have you guys seen anybody like subscribe to the magazine in the room? All right, we got to work on that, guys. All right, just kidding, but really, subscribe. You can use the code Laura and get $15 off today. Have you seen us online? Anybody see us online? Check our online, get our newsletter. Great. What about podcasts? Anybody ever listen to the podcast? All right, 2 people, 3, 4 people. All right, you guys should listen to it. It's so fun. Wait, too far. Okay, so now I've told you the journey. I want to tell you about the messy middle, which is how we're going to talk about preserve. So the entrepreneurs that raise your hand, and even how many people would consider themselves creative? You all have to raise your hand. This is called Creative Mornings. You must be creative to come. How many people have suffered with isolation? Yeah, me too. So you start a magazine, and people think it's really fancy, and you have a really wealthy business partner who gave you $8, but people think you're fancy. And so what ends up happening is you slip into a place of isolation. And that's what happened to me. But it happened so slowly that I didn't know that it was happening. And I feel like it's my job to make sure that I can tell as many entrepreneurs and as many creatives and as many people who suffer with isolation what that looks like, so that you know it's okay to talk about it in case you're going through it, and what it means to cure that, how I cured it. But let me just paint a picture for you. I moved into this season of my life that we now refer to so lovingly as the Harry Potter apartment series. And it was called that because in order to sustain my life, I had to basically get rid of all the luxuries I had and move into this 1-bedroom apartment on Highlands. So everybody know where Highlands is? It's not a bad, it's a great area of town. I love it. But a 1-bedroom apartment for a single mom. And the reason we call it the Harry Potter apartment is because Clay's bed was literally in a closet. It wasn't under the stairs, but it was in a closet. We pull it out on the weekends. And so here it was. Everyone thought I was crazy. Everyone. When you have a great job and you start your own company, what's the first thing your family says to you? What are you doing? You're making good money. Sustainability. Laura, what about retirement? Do you even care? What about health insurance? Have you thought? It's like, no, I didn't think of any of that. I don't know. It's going to be fine. We're going to be fine. So everybody thinks you're crazy. I have a mom. I recently found out, and I won't elaborate, that my son was going through puberty as a single mom. Just think about that for a second in a 1-bedroom apartment. No. Okay. All right. So moving on. And then I had to send my son to boarding school. And we're in the South, and it's not because I'm fancy, it's because I just didn't think I was doing a good enough job. And that's me being really, really honest, that when you need help, you should ask for it. And for me, being a single mom, starting a company, and not really sure how to navigate puberty and like a lot of other things, even though I had great mentors, which I did, their prayers got me through. But I put him in boarding school, and this is how moms look at you when you say that to them in the South. They're like, oh, where's your son? Oh, he's at boarding school. Where? Boarding school? I'm sorry, that must be so hard for you. Yes. No, it's super easy. Yes, it's hard. So people thought I was crazy, right? Because I also have this son at boarding school. Ad sales, so my whole career I've done sales. And I'm like, we're gonna knock this thing out of the park. We'll be making money in 2 months. What? No. That's not how any of this works, as it turns out. So ad sales were really hard. And I was leading 8 people. We had 8 people, 8 employees that I was responsible for them, their families, their well-being. And that weight, although I had led teams before, it had never been me that was in charge of writing them a check. And it felt real different. And then there's the last thing, which is kind of important. It's a year in, and guess what happened? We're out of money. I'm not gonna make payroll. Like, probably only like 6 days away from genuinely not making payroll. And I had pitched another partner. And so I called my sister. That's what you do, right? You call somebody who can tell you, it's okay, you should quit. You shouldn't move to China. Take Clay with you, it'd be great. I didn't do that. But I did call my sister. And my sister is, let me just paint a picture. So my sister is perfect in every way. She's genuinely like an angel. She's a PhD in math because she likes to show off, and she's like a college professor. And like I've barely made it through any type of school ever. But I call her because she's also like the most rooted, grounded person I know. And she always tells the truth. So I'm crying, blubbering on the phone, like, I just think I want to quit. I just want to give up. It's too hard. I'm not going to be able to pay people. I'm going to let everybody go. I think I'm never leaving my car. Anybody ever had a moment like this? Okay. She said, so it sounds like you have two choices. One, quit. And you need to know that when you quit, I will still love you. You will still be my hero for doing something amazing and blazing a new trail and trying something different. Two, you shut up, you pull your shit together, and you figure this out. But you need to know that greatness never happens in isolation. And if you keep hiding in the Harry Potter apartment, you're never going to get on the other side of this. And that's where we land here when we're going to talk about preserve. So you guys feel like doing like a fun exercise? Yeah? Okay, cool. Good. So look at the person that you like most sitting next to you. Good. Okay. Oh, y'all look the opposite way. Wow, these two right here, they don't want to do work together. Okay, you have a partner in this. So if the girls can pass these out, I have these little handouts that we're going to do. And I promise we're going to make it a way around to preserve, although I do think I did get the crappiest title, I'm just saying. So we're going to talk about cultivating a community of grit around you. And what does that mean? What does that look like for creatives or for people in general? The easiest thing for us to do in times that are hard is to hide. I'll wait. All right, everybody got one? Okay, you're gonna have to wait so you can hear my directions. Okay, so after the conversation with my sister, here's what I learned. She was right. A, I wasn't gonna give up. B, 100% of the decisions you make in isolation are sad. It doesn't mean they're wrong. It just means it's really hard and lonely, and it's not good. So I discovered that, and I realized that in my brand, I lost myself. How many people have ever lost their self in their job? Just forget what you stand for. You're just so busy doing that you forget about being, and that happens a lot. And so I decided I need to figure out who am I? I need to rediscover that. So I needed to write down what my personal values were. How many people already have personal core values written down somewhere you see them often? My staff, do not raise your hand. I know you do because I made you. Anybody else? Okay, like 3 or 4 people, that's awesome. So what you're gonna do is with your partner, you're gonna interview them and you're gonna ask them these questions. So we're gonna start with core values. Here's how I define core values, whether it's personal core values or core values for your business. You can take this back and do it with your staff. But I define core values as what would I hire myself by and what would I fire myself for not doing. Does that make sense? Okay, so what would you hire yourself by, the characteristics, who you are when no one is looking? What does that look like? What do you want people to look like if they were working for your organization? How would you model that? So you're gonna interview the person next to you. So you're actually filling out your neighbor's thing. So we're gonna start with core values. Let's do that. Do you want me to list off what mine are? So you have an example? Okay, cool. I value relationships over transaction, always. I obey God and trust Him with my outcomes. I forgive quickly. I give freely. I'm authentic and weird. And I do therapy, like with a therapist who's a professional, always. Because I need it, because I'm crazy, because I started a magazine. All right, go. You got 3 minutes to do this part. Oh, don't cry, don't cry. Okay, all right. It's always a successful speech when I make someone cry. That's like 100% the goal. Okay, so moving on. Can we talk about legacy? So what we're doing is, who are we now? We just did that. This is who we are. This is how we want to live. This is how we want to be held accountable, right? And now I want to talk about, at the end of my life, people will say that I was what? Now this is a vision. This isn't going to happen anytime soon, God willing, right? But if you don't know what you want people to say about the way you lived, how can you live that way? How can we create an intentional life without that? You guys want to hear mine? Okay. All right. My legacy will be that I cussed a little too much, but I loved Jesus and my husband with all that I had. I saw everybody as a somebody, and I always had an extra seat at my table. I raised kids with beat up Bibles and beat up passports. It'll be a good life, guys. That'll be a good life. Okay, so exercise. Tell the person next to you, hey, listen, this isn't gonna be perfect. We're not writing the rest of your life in 3 minutes, 4 minutes I'm about to give you, but at least take a stab at it, and then it'll be in your mind, right? To keep polishing your legacy. All right, so break out. You got 4 minutes, 2 minutes apiece. I'll tell you when it's been 2 minutes. Okay. All right, so let's move on. Real quick, this next exercise. So now that you know who you are, right? If I know who I am, and I know how I want my life to be lived, I know what I want people to say about me when I'm gone, then the next thing that you can do is you can find people, you can attract the right people. So I had fallen into this deep pit, right? I isolated. I had friends, but they lived far away from me, and I needed to figure out how to find the right tribe. And so one of the ways you do that is you might find a mentor. I put mentors down. I like to say my friends mentor me, right? I've got friends who are ahead of me, and some just behind. Sometimes I'm pouring into them. Sometimes I'm getting poured into. Does anybody have a legitimate mentor they're meeting with always? Okay, that's a little scary. More y'all need to have mentors. How many people are mentoring someone? Okay, well that's good. At least y'all are not mentoring who are not being mentored. That's good. Okay, all right. So if you do not have mentors right now, let's just talk about the people in your life that you would call if you needed advice right now. Because technically, that's a mentor, right? And the people that you are mentoring are going to be people who call you for advice. Do you know who those people are? Could you name them right now? Everybody has them. Somebody's like, my hair's on fire. I need to bury a dead body. I got you, girl. I got that trash bag, shovel. I'm on my way. I'm that friend, by the way. Okay, do this really quickly. Interview each other. We're going to just take 1 minute because I don't want to go over my time. I want to respect everyone's time here. And then we're going to move to the back. So do you kind of see the picture I'm drawing for you? Is everybody getting it? That in order to cultivate a community of grit, we actually have to be really intentional about knowing what we're looking for, and the only way you can do that is to know yourself a little better. Right? Okay, cool. So that's how we preserve. If you want to preserve yourself, if you want to make sure you don't isolate, you don't get empty, you have to have people who will fill you back up. You have to have people you're willing to pour into. That's personally, professionally, nothing lives in a vacuum. It just doesn't happen. How many of you have ever said, work is killing it, but home's suffering? That's not true. Everything's suffering. When one thing's suffering, we're whole people, right? So everything suffers. Wow, I'm really stuck with this slideshow. Guys, we really stayed on track. Does everybody know this quote? It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred, dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows at the end of the triumph and the high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly. I just want to be around a bunch of people like that. I love Brene Brown. Obviously, she uses this as her main thing, right? The Daring Greatly series. I just want you to know that if people are speaking into your life and sitting at your table who are not cheering for you, who are not calling you out in a healthy way, but they make you feel bad about yourself, you probably need to find a different table. And that's okay. Sometimes we have to pluck people away, and that's really scary. But it's necessary in order to preserve. Find the people that hold you up, push you forward, and call you out. So on the back of your little pamphlet, the last thing I was going to have you do, wait, funny story. I made my 15-year-old son fold these for me last night while I was on date night for $20. And he called me and he's like, "Are you doing like a cheering convention or something?" And I was like, "You need to back up off of me and what I'm doing, first of all. Do not call me out. No." But the reason he said that is because biggest cheerleaders on the back like 3 times. Because that was accidental. Sorry. Okay, but you should have a lot of people cheering for you. So the ones that are really important, I wrote mine down: challenges you, calls you out, cracks you up, who's the best listener in your life, and who would bail you out of jail. I always make it into that. Like, I'm always everybody's friend who they're like, "Yeah, if I go to jail, I'll call Laura." I don't know why. Probably because I'm like most likely to go to jail out of their friends. Like, she get it. Okay, take 1 minute and do this. Talk to each other about it, and then we're going to wrap up. All right, guys, just out of respect for everybody's time, I'm going to go ahead and wrap everybody up. The good news is you get to take these with you. Okay, sorry. I know. We could talk about this all day. This is my favorite stuff. So I'm just going to leave you with this. I made it through my season of isolation. I have some of the coolest, most incredible humans that I met right here in Birmingham. I never thought, actually I have a girlfriend who lives in North Carolina who said to me, this is a real thing, she's like my best friend in all of my 20s. She's like, "I'm really worried about you because like, you can be super weird when you're first meeting people and you're like a lot, and I don't know if you're gonna be able to find friends." And she is the person that I would put in the category calls you out. I'm like, "Too much, girl, I'm fine, I'm gonna be fine." But she was right, I isolated because I was a little bit nervous about that. But now I have an incredible community, not just of best friends, but people that work with me and pour into me, mentors who are professional and personal, who are well-rounded people. And my encouragement to you is if you want to get to the next thing in your life, whatever it is, that big thing, I kind of go back to what my sister says. Greatness never happened in isolation. Greatness happens when you're in community and collaboration, and that is how we preserve. Thank you guys so much for your time this morning. I appreciate it.